The fog rolled thick over San Francisco International Airport, a gray shroud that grounded planes and nerves alike. Inside the terminal, the air was heavy with the hum of restless travelers. Departure boards glowed red with canceled, and the concourse buzzed with sighs, arguments, and the clatter of rolling suitcases. The storm outside wasn't just weather, it was a wall trapping thousands in a limbo of waiting. At gate D9, Clara Mendez stood alone, her reflection faint in the fogged-up window. At 35, she carried the weight of years spent rebuilding herself. Her dark eyes, once bright with dreams, now held a quiet resilience. A faded scarf was knotted around her neck, her only shield against the chill seeping through the glass. She clutched a canvas tote, its straps frayed from years of use. Clara was heading to Boston, chasing a job that promised stability after a decade of scraping by. But the fog had other plans. Across the terminal, a man emerged from the executive lounge, his steps deliberate despite the chaos. Ethan Caldwell, 40, was a name carved into the tech world, a software mogul whose apps powered millions of lives. His tailored blazer was creased from a red-eye flight, his jaw tight from a deal in Shanghai that had unraveled hours ago. He scanned the crowded gate, searching for a distraction from the weight of his crumbling empire. Then his eyes landed on her, Clara. Ethan froze, his breath catching. 10 years ago, he'd walked away from her, choosing ambition over the woman who'd once been his world. He'd left her in a cramped apartment with a half-written letter and a promise to call, a promise he never kept. Now she stood by the window, her silhouette as familiar as a song he'd forgotten the words to. But she wasn't alone. A boy, no older than 9, stood beside her, his sneakers scuffing the floor. He held a dog-eared comic book, his dark hair falling into eyes that mirrored Ethan's own, storm gray, sharp, unmistakable. Ethan's heart stuttered. The boy's face was his, a living echo of the man he'd been before success consumed him. Clara turned, sensing his stare. Their eyes locked, and the terminal's noise, announcements, footsteps, complaints, faded to nothing. For a moment it was just them. 2 people bound by a past that had never healed. Then her gaze hardened and she stepped in front of the boy, shielding him. "Ethan," she said, her voice low, cutting. "Walk away." The boy looked up, curious. "Mom, who's that?" Clara's hand tightened on his shoulder. "Nobody, Theo, stay here." Ethan's chest ached. Nobody. The word landed like a blow. He'd built a fortune, a legacy, but here he was erased. He took a step closer, ignoring the crowd beginning to notice. "Clara, please. I didn't know." "You didn't want to know," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to turn heads. "You made that choice when you left." Theo peeked out, clutching his comic book. Ethan crouched, his voice softening. "Hey, Theo, Don't." Clara's eyes blazed. "You don't get to do this. Not after 10 years. A phone flashed nearby, capturing the moment. Ethan straightened, his jaw tight. He was used to scrutiny. Paparazzi, boardrooms, headlines. But this was raw, personal. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Text from his COO, Lauren. "Ethan, photos are online. You with a woman and kid at SFO. The board's panicking. Fix this." He ignored it, his eyes on Clara. "I'm not leaving this time." Her laugh was sharp, bitter. "You think this is about you? This is about him." She nodded toward Theo, who was now watching them, confusion clouding his young face. "He's not your story to rewrite, Ethan. He's my son." The word "my" stung deeper than any corporate loss. Ethan's throat burned. He looked at Theo, the boy's small frame tense, his fingers gripping the comic book like a lifeline. Ethan wanted to speak to bridge the gap, but the words wouldn't come. The loudspeaker crackled. "Attention, passengers. All flights remain canceled due to fog. Please stay in the terminal." Groans rippled through the crowd. Phones lifted, more flashes. Whispers grew. "Is that Ethan Caldwell? The tech guy? Who's the kid?" Clara's face paled. She pulled Theo closer, her voice dropping. "This is what you bring, Ethan. Cameras, chaos. I won't let you drag him into it." Before he could respond, a woman with a press badge pushed forward, phone raised. "Mr. Caldwell, is this your son? Did you abandon him?" Theo flinched, pressing into Clara's side. Ethan stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Back off, now." The reporter didn't budge, recording. "The public deserves answers." Are you walking away again? Security moved in, sluggish and overwhelmed. Clara's eyes burned with fury. You see? This is your world, not his. Ethan's phone buzzed again. Lauren's voicemail, urgent. Ethan, the investors are pulling out. Deny this or we're done. He silenced it, his decision made. Clara, I'm not going anywhere, not him, not you. For a moment, Clara's resolve wavered, her eyes searching his. But then Theo tugged her hand. Mom, why's everyone staring? Her face hardened again. She grabbed her tote and Theo's hand, turning toward the gate. We're done. Ethan followed, pushing through the crowd. Clara, wait. She spun, her voice low, fierce. You lost the right to us 10 years ago. The fog pressed thicker outside, mirroring the chaos within. The terminal was a pressure cooker. Passengers, reporters, security, colliding. Then it happened. Theo, caught in the surge of bodies, slipped from Clara's grip. His comic book fell, pages splaying on the floor. Mom! His voice was small, swallowed by the crowd. Clara's scream cut through. Theo! She yanked forward, heart racing, scanning the sea of strangers. The other passengers muttered, some judgmental. She should have watched him closer. Ethan didn't hesitate. He shoved past bodies, his voice booming. Theo! The crowd parted slightly, startled by his intensity. He scanned frantically, his pulse pounding. A small sob came from near a shuttered kiosk. Theo was there, curled against a bench, his face streaked with tears. Ethan dropped beside him, breathless. Theo, it's okay. I've got you. The boy looked up, trembling. You'll leave like Mom said you did. Ethan swallowed hard, the words cutting deep. I did leave once. I was wrong. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Theo hesitated, then reached for Ethan's hand. His small fingers curled around Ethan's, fragile but trusting. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stronger than ambition. Something real. Clara pushed through, her face pale with panic. When she saw Theo with Ethan, she froze. No one spoke. The terminal's chaos faded, leaving just the three of them. Ethan stood, lifting Theo gently. He's okay, he said, voice steady. I've got him. Clara's eyes glistened, but she held back tears. She took Theo, holding him close. Don't think this changes anything, she whispered, but her voice softened. The loudspeaker crackled. Limited boarding resuming at gate D12. The crowd surged, but Ethan didn't move. Neither did Clara. Theo clung to her, but his eyes stayed on Ethan, curious. Hours later, the fog lifted slightly. Flights were moving, but Clara and Theo stayed in a quiet corner of the terminal. Ethan sat across from them, his phone silent now. Lauren had stopped calling, likely writing him off. You don't have to stay, Clara said, her voice tired. I know, Ethan replied. But I want to. Theo looked up, his voice small. Are you my dad? The question hung heavy. Clara's breath caught, but she didn't answer. Ethan leaned forward, gentle. I'd like to be, if you'll let me. Theo didn't smile, but he didn't look away. It was a start. 4 months later, sunlight spilled over a small backyard in San Francisco, the fog a distant memory. Theo kicked a soccer ball, his laughter echoing as he darted across the grass. Clara watched from the porch, a mug of coffee in her hands, her face softer than it had been in years. Ethan stepped out, sleeves rolled up, a dish towel over his shoulder. He'd stepped back from his company, selling shares to focus on what mattered. The headlines had called it a collapse. He called it clarity. He's unstoppable, Clara said, nodding toward Theo. He's happy here. Ethan smiled, not the polished grin of his past, but something real. He's incredible, like his mom. Clara didn't reply, but her hand brushed his, and she didn't pull away. The past wasn't erased. 10 years of pain didn't vanish, but they were building something new. Theo ran up, breathless, holding the ball. Dad, play with me. The word dad still hit Ethan hard, but he grinned, taking the ball. You're on. As they played, the world faded. No cameras, no headlines. Just a family finding its way, one moment at a time. Final message. True strength isn't in what you build, but in who you hold when the fog clears. Thank you for reading this story of love and second chances. If it touched you, share it with someone who needs it. Stay tuned for more stories that remind us what matters most.